So Konami have released two new epic packs, but of course they are identical players with different designs. I was in eFootball Universe's stream earlier, and he actually thinks that the reason they're doing this is, well, two reasons. One, I think he just said they might be trying to collect data on, like, how many people care about the design on the cards in the background. Might be a fair point. But also he thinks that in the future we might be able to kind of have a sticker book collection thing. And if, say, you had, I don't know, 10 Subasa cards, you can, if you have 10 of them, you unlock a new player, or you trade them in for a new player, or like 10 AC Milan cards or something like that. So maybe that's what's coming in the future, but there's literally no point worrying about that because Konami are very slow with their updates, so I wouldn't worry about it. But we will be doing a training guide on these cards, and obviously, of course, I've had a look at them before. I've got the builds ready, and I have got numerous builds, and I actually think this pack looks pretty good. I think the players look good, and even a player like Forlan, who I would traditionally think isn't the strongest, I think he looks pretty strong on this version. So we'll start off with Platini. Excuse me. He has whole player, so I'm not the biggest fan of whole players, but I know a lot of people are. And then his skill is phenomenal pass, so phenomenal pass will help him a lot, particularly because of his very high weak foot. I think it's a very good skill. Basically, just helps your player pass off balance. Very high weak foot would already kind of do that a little bit because your player obviously has more options between which foot he's going to use to pass, but coupled it in with phenomenal pass, he will be very strong. So if we look at his build, this is the first one I have. You can see I have a few there. I think, like, if you just look at how well rounded this guy is, he looks amazing, amazingly well rounded. So this build is one with higher physical, and we did put physicality as the second booster on. I'm not the I don't really care too much about physical contact, but I know a lot of people really do like high physical contact, so that's why I made this build. So if you want a high physical build, I would go for this one. Uh, and then we have 1 point in defending because it's just a leftover one. I guess you could actually take off that defending, take off that dribbling, and then you could increase the dexterity one more, or even the passing or the shooting. I don't think it's going to be much difference really though. We'll move on to one of the next builds. So you can see that this one does have less physical contact. We actually invested 0 points, but importantly, it is a 70. So I don't know how long ago, but maybe 2 months ago. Or actually, it might even be as far back as the start of eFootball 25 with Ronaldinho and stuff. Konami are giving all the dribblers 70 physical contact, and that's usually the level I notice where players actually have a bit of a physical presence to them. So again, this build looks amazing to me. We have 95 finishing. The biggest difference between this build and the physical build really is that we're going for the 95 finishing and the 98 curl. Now, if he was a creative playmaker, I don't think you would need 95 finishing, but as he's a whole player, he wants to get into the box. I think it could be pretty useful. I haven't put a booster on, so if we take all the boosters off, the stats we really don't want to touch are the passing and the speed and in turn kicking power. So if you're trying to put a booster on, just don't try to put a booster on that plus one of them, because that means you will not be able to reinvest those points elsewhere. You can see shooting is the one that we put the most points in. So if we just went for a shooting booster, you can see that we'd get a bit of finishing. We just take them off for a sec. We'd get finishing and ball control, and then if we put all the boosters on, that means we look like this. We could take off a finishing and then invest those points elsewhere. So you could get to the 95 ball control, which would be interesting, or you could just invest further into, let's say we get the passing, the lofted pass up to 80, and then the rest of the points. You'd probably want to put that little bit extra into the speed, just because the 96 balance should be more than enough, or even get the physical contact up a little bit higher to kind of merge it more into the physical build. So I think this build is the best so far. And then this build is just more if you're purely focused on dribbling, and you're not as worried about the other stats. I think it is a bit overkill though. I don't think it's gonna perform as good as this middle build. So ultimately I would go for this middle build, but this is the best build, most well rounded. This is if you're focused on physical, and this is if you're focused on dribbling. So if we go to his skills again, and I'll give you my recommendations. He starts off with amazing skills pretty much. There are a few though you could put on him to improve him. So I'll be putting that flip flap on because he's got double touch and soul control. You might as well get that ball roll, and then the very high weak foot as well will really help. when you're trying to do that double touch shot that I made a video on months ago. Like I think the ball roll, it's something that I used to not really recommend too much. I think it's so important once you know that technique. Then I would go for long range shooting. He's definitely got the stats for it, and he just doesn't start with it, so it would be needed. Next I would go for weighted pass. I think weighted pass works really well with phenomenal pass because I have a Bernardo Silva with phenomenal pass, and once I put weighted pass on him, his passes became a lot better, particularly the lofted passes. It really helped, and they could actually play in behind lofted passes, which is something you can't really do on this game. So, I do think weighted pass would be very strong on Platini. And then I have three skills here for the last two slots. You kind of make the decision. I would recommend cut behind and turn, fighting spirit, and rising shot. So if I was to be as efficient as possible, I'd probably go for cut behind and turn and fighting spirit. But maybe many people don't really. I actually get a lot of questions asking what is cut behind and turn, how to perform it. It's literally just a fake shot. And if you're facing behind you, if you fake shot behind you, you'll do a Cruyff turn and a little bit to the side as well. It also has some passive effects for your first touch, so your player will do different animations. I recommend it very often, though. I think it's a very, very good skill and very underrated. Fighting Spirit, it'll just help him. Fighting Spirit is essentially just they're more composed, and when defenders are near them, they're going to perform better. And then the reason I recommend Rising Shot is it's something that I've kind of come back to recently. Open my eyes back up to it. I think it's a very useful skill because you can kind of score across goal shots a little bit better. I think it'll work on any of these builds. Like he has the finish and he has the kick and power. That's just what you're looking for. It'll be very effective on the 95 finishing build, but it'll work on all of them. So Rising Shot, you can't go wrong. But overall, I'd say Fighting Spirit is would have a larger kind of use case. But Platini could be. I honestly, it has to be one of the best attacking midfielders in the game. I don't really think there'd be too many that are better, honestly. Like the only player that stats wise could compete with him is that Cruyff, Black Cruyff's deep line forward. So imagine you had that deep line forward Cruyff with phenomenal pass, and then he comes short, drops deep, and Platini with the whole player runs in behind. That's a very good combination. Now, if we compare him to the old Platini, so this is what I would look for on the old one. For the booster, you'd probably want to give the old one something that will increase the lower body strength, because if you took points off the lower body strength and like something like an agility, for example, it means you can reinvest those elsewhere. So you could be able to get that curl up to 95, and you'll have a point left over for passing. You could honestly even reduce the dexterity further from here, maybe just 1 point though, and then you'll have 4 points. That can go, where will that go? Could it get the finishing up to 95? No, it's not going to get it up there. But anyway, this card looks very good as well if we just compare it. Pretty much the same card. Again, the biggest difference is really going to be just the finishing, but I don't think it's going to be worth the money to upgrade from like 92 finishing to 95. Now, obviously, this one's a creative playmaker and the other one's a whole player, and then this one shouldn't have showtime skill, yeah. I mean, you're upgrading for 95 finishing compared to 92, whole player versus creative playmaker, and phenomenal passing. So I think like if that's worth it to you, go ahead, but I don't think it is worth €150 potentially. But we'll look at the other players here and see if it's worth. Okay, next player we're going to look at is Cantona, and this is Cantona. I've got his Man United version. Very good card. I really enjoyed him. If we look at his build though, actually we'll just look at the skill. He gets phenomenal finishing to start off with. I don't really notice phenomenal finishing too much, to be honest. If we look at his card, I think he is good, but I think the low balance is a bit of an issue. Like obviously we have to put the shooting boost on, but that's not going to improve the balance. Now it looks like an issue on the face of the card, but I've actually got the old Cantona, and he has low balance too, and I never thought it was an issue. So maybe it's just I don't know, something about Cantona that makes the low balance not a problem. He does like obviously have good dribbling stats, so maybe it does make sense a little bit why it wasn't a major issue. But I do think that the old Cantona like arguably is better. Like pretty much every stat is the same, except this old one actually has better finishing and better passing. The newer one has more speed and stuff, but because he's a deep line forward, speed isn't gonna actually be important. You don't really need them to be fast at all. Like deep line forwards are usually just to kind of walk into and kind of drag defenders out and kind of go into empty space and create space for the other players around them, and also be available for a cutback. and Cantona always scores cutbacks for me on the Manchester United version. If you wanted to rejig the build, you could try probably take the passing off and get more shooting. I don't know how you're going to do it though, so you probably take off, put agility on, get the balance up, take a little bit dribbling off. Will that get you to 95 finishing? I'll get you to 94. Like, I think 95 is usually the level I want it at, so I don't really think you're going to be able to get this Cantona as good as the actually you can take off a little bit of, yeah, we don't really need speed, so you can take off a little bit there. 95 finishing. You have actually, is there a booster that'll give you agility and shooting? Actually, maybe, I mean, 81 and 80 balance, you're not going to notice the difference. So yeah, you take off a little bit of the shooting and then reinvest those points at 95 type possession. And I mean, I guess you could go passing, get to 85 because passing is going to be important. But again, this old Manchester United version has better passing. So I think if you have this old one, it's not worth the upgrade really. So I think you're better off just sticking to that one. For the skills I'd recommend on Cantona, he does start off with a bunch of good ones. Interestingly though, he doesn't have chip shot control, which is a bit surprising because one of the most famous things he's done, other than, you know, Karate Kick a fan, is that chip shot that was he scored. I think it was from outside the box or the edge of the box. It's a good chip shot though, and they didn't give him the skill. So if you want to kind of be authentic to the card, give him chip shot. But if you want to be more effective, I'd be giving him soul control and flip flap for that ball roll. Again, I'd give him cut behind and turn. I know I'm kind of always recommending flip flap or the ball roll and cut behind and turn, but it really is that effective. He already has outside curler, so you don't need that. Definitely give him true passing, and that would mean you'd have to pick between chip shot and fighting spirit. So if you want to be effective, fighting spirit. If you want to, you know, be a bit more realistic, chip shot wouldn't be the most effective, but it would be more authentic. Right, so next player I want to look at, well, I'm gonna have to look at, your legend, is Forlan, and this Forlan really impresses me when we look at his build. So let's have a look now. So I've got two builds. One is a bit more pure striker and physical focused, and then this other one is pure dribbling. And look, both of these builds look amazing to me. Like, I would go for the dribbling builds, just the type of player I am. But I think they're amazing. So there's really not too much more to it. If you took off all the boosts, I do think the agility boost makes the most sense because it'll take you to the 90. And then on this one, if we take off all the boosts, I think ball carrying also makes the most sense because same again, you're going to get to the 90 balance. So definitely a very impressive card from Diego Forlan here. If we look at Forlan's skills, or actually before we look at the skills, I want to compare him to Suarez. Like, Suarez is one of my favorite strikers at the moment in the game, and Forlan's actually better than him pretty much everywhere. Suarez does have more speed, but he has less dribbling. So I think, like, realistically, Forlan's going to be better. He has a bit more curl, a lot more balance as well. So even if you were to go for this more physical build, he probably will feel better on the ball than Suarez. So I think this Forlan is very strong. So let's look at his skills. So he starts off with a few of the shooting ones. So that's going to be a bit more fun, like knuckle shot and dipping shot, but he doesn't have rising shot. He definitely has the attributes for rising shot to be effective though, so I'd give him rising shot. I'd obviously give him double touch as well and cut behind and turn, fighting spirit, soul control, flip flap. So there is 6 skills there. So if I had to go without a skill, you would choose between rising shot and cut behind and turn. Probably, I don't know, most cards I would drop rising shot for cut behind and turn, but because of the fact that he has knuckle shot, dipping shot, and rising shot, it means anytime you hit a stunning shot, you're going to activate one of those skills, because they get activated at different kind of, the amount of power you put in the stunning shot determines which of those skills get activated. So because he has all 3, it pretty much means anytime you do a stunning shot, you're getting something special out of it. So probably could go without cut behind and turn. I would really recommend though the ball roll on him because of the very high weak foot. And I guess if he doesn't have cut behind and turn, he can create the space for a shot himself with the double touch as well. Look, I think this is a very good card, very good pack, sorry. Platini's amazing. Forlan looks amazing to me as well. And Cantona is good. I think other deep line forwards would be better though. Like your Cruyffs, Baggio, Bully, Messi, all those would probably be better. But it's a good, if you don't have those, I think this is a pretty good pack to go for, in all honesty. So let me know your thoughts on the pack. Have you got previous versions of these cards? Do you think those are good and worth the upgrade? Or if you're going to be considering going for this pack yourself. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.